Hey, you guys. Welcome to our Palms Up conversation. We're so excited to be here today with Emma Siditsky. Welcome, Emma.
Hi.
We're so excited to have you. Emma has been an amazing asset to our worship team. Ever since we've gotten her on the team, it just has brought so much light and joy in a new way that we just love. And so thank you for who you are, Emma. We're so thankful to have you here today with us.
I love you guys.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
so
the
happy to be here today. I'm so thankful for you
you.
guys and this church and this family. So
we met in Rebecca Morgan introduced us, right? Like she was like, you got to meet Emma and Jordan. We got to meet this couple. They're brand new to Bel Air Church. And she had nothing but amazing things to say. And then we, actually the way we met was I joined your life group. Yeah.
We during Lent in 2020.
23? 24.
No,
it started in.
So Jordan and I started coming summer 2024 before we got married. Got married October 2024. Like Jan or Feb was when life groups were happening. And it was actually Jordan, which is so funny that it's Jordan. It was like, let's start a life group. And I was like, are you for real? I was so happy that he wanted to do that. But so we decided to do that because we didn't really know anybody.
Sure.
And that is when Rebecca connected us.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you came to our house.
Yeah, it was
awesome.
really easy to see. They were incredible hosts. I felt so loved. We felt so welcomed with Milo as like a newborn.
It was like 8 weeks old.
You guys just had Milo.
Yeah, he was like 8 weeks old when we not even honestly when we started coming to your life group, and you were so welcoming and we felt so safe and like so cared for and loved that it was immediate that I was like, okay, there's leadership on their lives. And then it was like pretty soon after that God was like, it was clear, like elevate. It was like really clear to elevate. And so I think at one point I was like, are you musical? Because I saw a piano.
Yeah, we didn't even know about the music
a guitar
at
on our
first.
wall and like a keyboard in our living room and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're so subtle. And I was like, okay. And then I start to really, you send me send me like a video of you singing. Like, I want to know. You had a history of like leading worship in church, which was complex, but, and then you sent me that and I was like, yeah, this all tracks. Everything just makes absolute sense. Like, let's promote you in. Once I got to know you better and you were at the church for a little bit of time, like to leadership. And like, it's been the best. Yeah. There's so much affirmation from the Lord that was the right decision on who you are with our church.
It's been like the biggest blessing in our lives. Like literally Jordan and I, prior to coming to Bel Air, we had been to a couple churches that were great, but like we struggled to like find our place in like the church community and church space in Los Angeles. But Bel Air kept coming up through different outlets. Just like literally one of Jordan's mentors who actually married us had told us about Bel Air like a year before we even got married.
Cool.
And it just kept coming up. And so we decided to start coming. And it's just been like such a God-breathed community in our life. And we're so grateful. And literally Jordan and I were just talking about like, we've been on such a journey in the past year with like life changes and like navigating job situations and things like that. Yeah. But we were like a year and a half, 2 years ago, we were praying fervently and desperately for a church family and literally specifically like married friends who like we have, like we love our friends who are in all walks and spaces of our lives, but we work in entertainment. Like it's like a really secular, like fast moving environment where like we want like planted, like people, friends in our lives. And it's been such a gift to just look back on the year and a half plus we've had and see how faithful God's been. And also just like how integrated this is in our life now. It's like, wow, like we could not have done this ourselves. Like God just absolutely planted us here and like wove every integration into our lives so perfectly. So
cool.
We're so grateful. We love this place. We love you guys.
Yeah, I love you.
Yeah. Well, we're already in it, but I want to dive in even more and get to know Emma even more. So we're in a series right now called Remember. So Remember series, and Remember the Whole Way is what we're talking about a bit today from our sermon. We're in Deuteronomy 8.
Yep, Deuteronomy 8. John Warner just gave this message, right? Absolutely crushed it. That was amazing.
WWE SmackDown sermon. I was like,
so great. Clocked.
So good. Right. Multiple times.
Yeah, he's I really connected with it. Really, he's incredible at just communicating something that I can really hear. And he leads with such conviction. So I'm really thankful for John. Can we read it?
Yeah, if you don't mind reading it. And then Emma, right after that, like, I'd love to just have you jump in. Like, how does this resonate with you? Tell us wherever you want to go. We just want to know about you, your heart. whatever you want to share.
Amazing.
Okay, Deuteronomy 8, do not forget the Lord, verse 1. This is NIV, so I think we're split. We normally do like NRSV, right? So we'll do NIV today is what I grew up with. Be careful to follow every command I am giving you today, so that you may live and increase and may enter and possess the land that the Lord has promised on oath to your ancestors. Remember how the Lord your God led you all the way in the wilderness these 40 years to humble and test you in order to know what was in your heart, whether or not you would keep his commands. He humbled you, causing you to hunger, and then feeding you with manna, which neither you nor your ancestors had known, to teach you that man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of the Lord. Your clothes did not wear out, and your feet did not swell during these 40 years. Know then in your heart that as a man disciples his son, so the Lord your God disciplines you. Observe the commands of the Lord your God, walking in obedience to him and revering him. For the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land with brooks, streams, and deep springs gushing out into the valleys and hills, a land with wheat and barley, vines, fig trees, pomegranates, olive oil, and honey. You want to read 9?
Yeah, I think it's 9 and 10.
Let's go 9. 9 and 10. Okay, great. A land where bread will not be scarce and you will lack nothing. A land where the rocks are iron and you can dig copper out of the hills. When you have eaten and are satisfied, praise the Lord your God for the good land he has given you.
That's good.
Amen. That's so good.
Yeah. What comes to mind?
Oh my gosh.
I know.
So
much.
much. That is such a
rich text.
Yeah. It's so full.
Yeah.
There's so much that stands out to me here, but I'll start in verse 3.
Ooh.
It's verse 2. Remember how the Lord your God led you all the way in the wilderness these 40 years. That's a really long time. Yeah. That's a really, really long time.
It's longer than any of us have lived.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah, clocked.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a really long time. And that to follow, it says, to humble and test you in order to know what was in your heart, whether or not he would keep his commands. He humbled you, causing you to hunger. And it's, oh my gosh, it's so crazy because it's like, I feel like when we go through desert seasons and we're wandering, we lose track of time.
Yeah.
Like time becomes ambiguous. Like
Sure.
I remember like times in my life where like literally when I talk about my stepdad passing 5 years ago, like I'll describe the first 3 to 6 to 9 months to 18 months of what that was like.
Wow.
But I'll forget. I'll be like, I don't know. I don't remember how long that was, like where that got, that might have been a year in, that might have been 6 months in, I don't know. But I remember this situation, you know? And it's so interesting how like when we're navigating the wilderness, we kind of lose track of time. So I think about the Israelites in the desert for 40 years and I'm like, what did 40 years feel like? Like, what did that feel like to them, you know? And how tempting it must have been to be like, I want to go back. I want to go back to Egypt. Take me back there because we crossed this river into the promised land. And here we are, like, or we're still in the desert here at this point, but it's like, here we are.
Yeah.
And I just think about like in the last year as like Jordan and I have been navigating like a lot of changes and like life transitions and job situations and stuff. And it's like, it's so tempting to want to like in this situation in scripture, the Israelites are probably like, take me back there. At least I had like a roof over my head there and things like that. Or I had a consistent routine every day. Yeah, maybe I was like slaving away doing X, Y, and Z, but at least I had consistency.
Wow.
And I just think about, how often would we prefer consistency, even though in bondage, consistency in bondage, as opposed to freedom, but mystery, you know? And it's like, I feel like in the last year, I've been so tempted to be like, I would rather go back to that difficult situation because at least there was consistency in bondage than like freedom, but uncertainty, you know? And it's so tempting to want to be like, oh, like, was that better? Like, was that actually better?
Sure. Wow.
And so I have literally found myself in those situations of like, was it better?
Yeah.
Like, was it better back there? But then we move forward, and in verse 3, it says, he humbles you, causing you to hunger. And the reality is that like, no, I would not turn back time to be like, I'd rather have consistency, although in bondage, it's like, here we are, day after day, feeling uncertain about what comes next.
Sure.
And we find ourselves every morning being like, I'm hungry for you, Lord. Like, I don't know what's coming, but I'm hungry. And I'm humbled because I feel helpless in this situation that I can't control. I feel helpless. And you bring that to the Lord. And I've brought it to the Lord, and the Lord's been like, I know you're helpless. I know you need me.
Wow.
Like, I'm bringing you here so that you hunger for me, you know?
Yeah.
And it's so humbling to like be on your knees in tears and be like, Lord, I'm desperate. And be like, yes, this is exactly where I want to be with you.
That's so good.
It's exactly where I want to be with you.
That's great, Emma.
And it's so hard, but it's just literally like the Lord like stripping away your heart and being like, you don't need this. You don't need that.
Sure.
That like control's an idol. Like you actually have no control of the situation.
Wow.
Just come to me. You know?
That's good. Pastor Drew, at certain points, he said like, we've talked about this phrasing of like practice discomfort. That like he oftentimes in the wilderness, when he goes into the wilderness, speaking of that, he is like looking at it with intention. That like, this is a time that I'm going to be out on my own and I want to be present. I talked with Suzanne Watson, who does those like 100-mile marathons, right? We talked about what she thinks about. Because I was like, at some point, this is like a many hours of you just running. Wow. And I was like, what do you think about? And she was like, I mean, I'll think about a lot of things, but mostly I'm just thinking about one step at a time. I'm just being present there in that moment. And like, I'll run out of like tasks, you know, like the brain castle or whatever. But for you, I know that, you know, you went through a difficult time in your previous years. And I know that must have felt like forever.
Yeah.
With your relationship with Jesus, like, how did you come to a point like where you're at now with, I mean, all the questions still, right? Yeah. Like, I know we have honest conversations. Like, there's a lot of uncertainty that you and Jordan have gone through. Do you remember a point where you felt like God kind of had that interaction with you where like you were in the depths and it felt like Jesus was just really clear and really simple in his messaging?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I think about, he's so like, Holy Spirit is so kind because he meets us so intimately time and time again. I was literally just listening to Over and Over, like on my drive up here.
That's great.
And the lyric is, I could never get tired of telling you you're worthy. There's no way I could, I'm not going to like recite, I like can't even, but it's like over and over again. Like God has met us like so intimately over and over again in our uncertain periods. I mean, I remember like, oh man, I'm going to go there. I remember getting the phone call that my mom called me telling me that my stepdad had died. And I remember it so clearly. And I was like, literally, where was I? Somewhere in West Hollywood. I was outside a restaurant. And I remember getting the phone call and being in total shock.
Sure.
And not knowing how to respond. But I remember so clearly, I've told you this, I remember feeling the warmth of a face like up here in my cheek, you know? And I thought if I was going to open my eyes, I'm like, there's either a stranger in my face or I'm being met by the Holy Spirit right now, you know? But literally like in that pit of like, my world just came crashing down. I remember feeling physical heat and proximity and just hearing the Lord be like, I need you to stay with me right now. Just stay with me right now. Yeah. And it was like the craziest thing in my life, you know? So it's just so kind. It's so like, I don't even have the words for how kind God is for meeting us in those like pitfall places. And also in our just like mundane day-to-day frustrations of kind of like, I don't want to work out today. I don't want to go to work today. I don't want to have that hard conversation. I don't want to send that email. Like, I don't want to grocery shop. Just like things like that we totally take for granted that are actually just God's kindness and provision. But things like that where I'm like, I don't want to do that. And God's like, I'm going to do it with you. Yeah. And also some tough love. You have to do that. You have to do that, you know? Like,
Oh, goodness.
Holy cow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It is beyond kind. Like I don't have words for it, you know?
Yeah. That's so powerful. And it's like God is like, I think I relate to him most as a father, you know, of all the attributes of him, you know, the friend, the comforter, the, you know, leader, the whatever attributes or ways to describe God. But father is like the one that like resonates most with me and has taught me the most, you know? And so like, I think everything you described in that, like, what makes up a good father? Is it always like giving you everything you want, or is it that tough love sometimes? And is it just his presence, just being like, I know it hurts, but I'm here and I'm not going to leave you because I know you need me and I'm with you. You know, it's like, it's something about a father's presence that's so like, it's so calming and it's so right.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't always feel good to our emotions, but it's right and it's good and it's there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's just so beautiful, like the way you describe that. Like, how kind.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, and even as he caused them to hunger, it was immediate that his response was there. It was he caused them to hunger and then gave them manna.
Yeah.
There was like, he was teaching them dependency, a holy dependency, which is good.
Yeah.
In our weakness, his power is made perfect, right? Like it is good to give our weaknesses and our vulnerability to the Lord. It's what he longs for, is that rely on me, like rest in me. It's all he's ever wanted, right? That was what we had in the garden that we lost, was like we walked in the garden with the Father, like God's presence was there. It was like, it was written that it said that. And so I feel like for you, like as I know who you are, I often in our rehearsals will see you like you're on the ground, like. And I know that we've talked at times of like, you sometimes have to like force yourself to like come down. You like get on your knees because you're wanting to submit your body. Like you're wanting to like get to realize God's presence. And as we're reading about the Israelites and their journey, like this is a moment they were forced into that, right? In love. And for you, what is something that you, just for me to gain a tool here, like what is it? Because I see that in you. We'll be in the rehearsal and I look over and I'm like, oh, I'm like, Emma's in it. Like, and it causes me to be aware in that moment. Have I checked out? Have I droned, right? Is this a moment that I need to be more intentional? Remember, because if the Holy Spirit is doing something in you, I want to know. Like, I want to know what that is. I want to be in unity with you too in that moment. And so you really inspire me in the way you do that. What is it that brings you to that point? And, you know, what can you hear? And how do you continue to like bring yourself to respond in that way?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a lot there. I'm actually, I'm really glad. I'm really actually glad we're talking about it. And first, I'm going to humble myself because when I was growing up in the church, I've seen so many versions of churches and I've been to so many churches. And I actually remember the first time I was at a church and a worship leader was on their knees. I was like, why are they doing that?
Wow.
Like, you know, and so I've been humbled and convicted in that own way because I was like, oh, the Lord has met me there in that posture of worship. Postures of worship look so different to everybody and they're intimate. And I just feel strongly that however you want to express yourself in worship is sanctified and holy, but however you're experiencing the Lord in that moment. But with that said, so in the way that the reason I will like bend down or get on my knees in worship is because this is interesting. It was the year I had lost my stepdad. It was like the year, so I guess I was in 2021, so the year following. Jordan and I were going to a church in Santa Monica that we loved. And during worship, beginning and end of service, all I could do was like sit and weep. That's all I could do. I could barely sing, which is crazy because I've been singing my whole life, you know, like it just flows out of me, but I didn't have anything to give. I just sat and like wept.
Yeah.
And in that like sitting and kneeling and weeping, like I didn't want anyone to touch me. I didn't want anyone to talk to me. I just wanted to like sit and weep and process with the Lord and grieve with the Lord. That's all I could do. And I remember actually a moment where I was like weeping, like on my knees during worship and being like, God, I can't even sing for you right
Wow.
And he's like, your tears are enough, you know, like, and
that's good, Emma.
Wow.
And even like, and you know, you both know that, like, I've been on a journey with, like, I did theater growing up, you guys. It's like my voice is my performance. And the Lord's like, if you can't, like, I don't even want that. I just want your heart. And if your heart's broken, I still want it, you know?
Goodness me, oh my.
And so it was during that time where I got comfortable with that. I got comfortable with, like, sitting and just kind of expressing myself and being intimate with the Lord spiritually, like, in that way, and meeting him there and being like, oh, you really see me and you really, really want me even when I have nothing to give you.
That's incredible.
You know? And so I remember that experience. And now when I meet with the Lord and I feel moved to sit down or lay down or kneel or however, it's like, it's a posture of surrender and submission, but also it's kind of my own weakness and being like, Lord, I want to meet with you here. And whether I'm like leading or singing or in the congregation, whatever it is, it's like, even when I like don't have the strength to stand or jump up and down or whatever, like I know that you'll meet me here. And so it's a mix of things. It's literally me remembering like how devastated I was in that season. That's all I could bring him, but also like communing with him, you know? And so yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but it's kind of like, how do I get there? It's like, and sometimes it's a forced habit too. It's kind of like, I can't stand right now. I have to be on the ground. I have to be close to something on the ground. You know what I mean? Like physically, like kneeling in that way. But
no, I mean, it's when you witness somebody in worship, right? When I see someone worship, you, Jasmine, whoever it is, like I always like I admire your intentionality, and to me, it shows somebody that like lives in conviction and lives in desperation of like God's presence, you know, like I know you know that in the conversations we've had. This is why it's so important, I think, for us to have conversations, like, which is why I love that we're doing this. Like, this is not like, we're not like theological, like we're not theologians. We're not like, we didn't go to seminary.
So
like,
far from that.
We're just people who love Jesus, who are just like, we know that like, this is better. Like, I know that this is better. I know that God's presence, not this phone, got the scripture.
For sure.
I know that God's presence is better for my life, even though sometimes it's difficult to engage. Like, even though I do forget, like, even though I do sometimes want to revert to old habits, or I fall victim to my old habits, like, I know that the Lord is faithful. I know he's good. And so when I see you, it inspires me and it reminds me that like, oh, that's the posture. Like, whether that's me standing and I'm in that posture or I'm kneeling in that posture, my heart's desire, right? It's that, and I think I said it last week too, I command my soul to praise.
Yes.
Like, and I think that is what I'm pulling out of this scripture of remember the whole way.
Yes.
Like, remember that God walked with us the whole way and he still is, you know?
Yeah, that's so good. And Emma, I love the way you put that of just like, God still wants me, even though this is all I can bring him right now.
It's so great.
And I want to ask you, because for some reason I just feel led to ask you, like, can you give a word for somebody who doesn't feel like they have hope for what they're going through and they don't know if they are alone or not? They don't know if there's anything good to come. Like, do you have maybe something you could share? I just feel like somebody listening might need to hear that today.
Totally. So many things. Oh my gosh. I know what it feels like to not have hope for what's to come. I know what that feels like, and it hurts, and it's not comfortable. It's easy to fall into that and feel kind of trapped by that. I think I'll say this. I think that if you're feeling like there's no hope or there's no light at the end of the tunnel, or the uncertainty is too much to bear. Oh man. I'll say this. I know scripture says it takes faith the size of a mustard seed. I'll also say I'll say that there's hope. Hope, like, take faith the size of the mustard seed, even if it's faith, just like so small. If you can find hope that's also so small, that can be give that to the Lord and that will erupt.
Wow.
I personally have never, I've personally never really felt so bleak that there's no hope, but I have felt so hurt and so disappointed that I'm like, I have to put a cap on this hope.
Wow.
So if the Lord's hope is on a scale, let's say a scale of 1 to 10, right? Like 10 is like the hope of the Lord, the joy of the Lord, the faithfulness of the Lord. I'll say, amen, Lord. I know you're at a 10. I'll meet you at 7.
Wow.
I'll meet you at 7 because if I get to 10, I'm so scared to get to 10. So like, and I've been convicted of that time and time again. The Lord's like, I know you have more. Give me more. Don't meet me at 7. Meet me at 10, you know? But I know that if you've been disappointed or hurt, that it's tempting to be like, let me just cap that.
Yeah, you're hedging your hope.
I'll protect that. I'm hedging my hope. Wow. So if there's someone listening who's hedging their hope, do not hedge your hope.
Wow.
God's trying to light a fire. He's trying to light a fire with hope, with joy, but he cannot do it if we're putting lids on our hope.
Wow.
So
good.
Yeah, I think that, you know, there's so, like, God is so faithful, and like the joy of the Lord truly is our strength, truly is our strength. Hope is hard, but hope is also, I mean, I think we talked about this several weeks ago during a rehearsal. I just felt so convicted to share. I think it's Proverbs 13 that says, hope deferred makes the heart sick. And I read that and I was like, Lord, I don't want to be sick. I don't want to be sick. Like, I want to be with you. I want to be healthy, you know, but I'm deferring my hope. Like, I'm meeting God at 7 when I should be meeting him at 10 with my hope.
Sure.
And God was like, that will make you sick, deferring it, you know?
And would you say that the hope, like the 7 to 10 is like your portion, right? So it's like the woman with the fragrance, like it's like, or the 2 pennies, right? It's what I meant. So as far as your hope goes, what you're meaning is like the amount of hope that you are willing to give, which could be really small, right?
Yeah.
The amount of hope that you can give to surrender that before the Lord, because he can maximize that unlike anything we could ever do.
Yes, exactly.
And so I hear that you're saying like, it's not that you're hedging like what he's willing to give, right? It's like there's an amount of you that's kind of still holding on. That's difficult.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what this remembering is like, you don't have to just do it from what you know.
Yeah.
You can do it from what you read.
Yeah.
From what you've heard. And that's why the power of our testimony, right? We overcome
by the blood of the Lamb.
By the blood of the Lamb. By the word of our testimony.
Yeah.
I remind myself, right? This is the whole thing of like, when I don't know what to say, and it's also why we have the Lord's Prayer, when I don't know what to pray, when I don't know what I can give, like he gives us all these different things that we can give back. It's the craziest thing about God, that he blesses us with something that then we can bless him with.
Yeah.
I remember there was a girl when it was in a church plant that we had in Memphis, Tennessee, and her mom used to give her money every Sunday. That she was her money to tithe, and she was 7 at the time, and her mom would give her money, and every single Sunday she tithed. And she gave that money back. It wasn't her money. She didn't like whatever. I mean, it was her money, but she was blessed with it from her mother. And I just thought that was the most beautiful thing, that she was learning gratitude and open-handedness. Palms up. I had to throw one in there. Palms up. By the surrender and by the giving back to God. And how beautiful is the Father that teaches us an open and trusting heart that he can give us hope to give back to him.
Yeah.
Is so cool.
Totally.
That whatever your heart capacity can handle at that time, that God will give that to you.
Yeah.
Let him fill it.
Yeah.
That's so
totally.
cool.
And I think also like, if we're on the hope meter, if we're like, Lord, today my hope is at 3 or 6 or 7 or whatever, like, we can be honest with him, be like, I need you.
That's great.
I need you for the rest.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, don't put a lid on it.
Yeah.
Don't be like, I'll stay here, Lord, and I know you're there, but I'm going to stay here. No.
Yeah.
Like, take the lid off and be like, I'm here and I need you.
Yeah.
So like, fill me with your spirit, fill me with your hope, fill me with your joy. This is going to sound maybe a little strange, but when I was talking to Jordan, my husband, we've been mentioning Jordan a lot. Jordan's my husband, but
love you, Jordan.
We love you, Jordy. Love you, Jordy.
He's golfing right now.
He could be golfing right now. No, I don't know. He's at home. But oh my gosh, what was I going to say? I'm thinking about Jordan golfing right now.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. We were talking about managing, like, on Sunday, John Wilner is like, what is a story that you are telling yourself right now? And I was like, well, I think I'm pretty self-aware, Lord. And he was like, I got one for you. But I feel like the Lord told me that I'm managing my expectations too much.
Wow.
Like, and I think there actually is some wisdom in managing your expectations, like in certain circumstances.
Sure.
But I think the Lord was like, you're trying to manage me in your life. And I was like, ow. But with that said, like, I think that, I was talking to Jordan, and this might sound a little morbid, but maybe not. But I was like, I don't want to enter the gates of heaven and see Jesus and thank him for all the wonders he's worked in my life and think, I wish that I had more hope in you when I couldn't see you. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
Like, I don't want to like meet him and be like, you did wonders in my life beyond what I could have imagined. I wish I had more hope.
Yeah.
You know?
That you were able to see it more while you were.
Yes. And so I feel like I'm actually kind of in this space in life now. And Jordan and I practice this all the time. Like something we say a lot is like, well, what do we have to lose? You know? And it's like, we have wonderful, wonderful things in our lives, but also like we are kind of in a wilderness season right now. So we're kind of like, well, palms up, arms open, you know what I mean? Yeah. Here we are. And so it's easy to be like, like I want to tread lightly and like manage my expectations. But actually, something on the other hand is kind of like, why don't I have just like wild hope for this?
Come on.
Wild hope for this, you know? Like, because something incredible is going to happen. Yeah. Like, I know like a wonderful work is being done in us and through us. So like, when I think about meeting Jesus, I want to be like, I knew you were going to come through. I knew you could do it. Not like, I wish I believed that a little more, you know? Like,
yeah, I thought about that when I was thinking of some questions to ask people, because they were coming to my mind. And like, one of the questions would be like, what would you tell yourself 5 years ago? And I think for me, it would be like, how do I word it? Something like, you can have the hope or the faith that you're not sure about today. Like, you can actually have it. Like, he actually is going to come through. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, the thing 100%. You're wondering about today, 5 years ago, me, like, go ahead and have that faith. Oh my gosh. Go ahead and have that hope. Like, he's actually going to come through. Go ahead. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, and I feel like that's a little bit of what you're saying. It's just like, I don't want to get to Jesus and be like, dang, I wish I knew you could do it more than I showed. Wow. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Yeah. Like 100%.
Yeah, but it feels so risky in our hearts.
It does feel risky. Yeah. It can feel risky, but it's so worth the risk. Yeah. You know, like there's nothing more worth the risk.
Yeah.
Well,
right?
that's Philippians, to live as Christ, to die as gain. Yeah. Like I literally say that every podcast, but to live as Christ, to die as gain. Like let my life be exactly what you want it to be. Yeah. Like that's the prayer. Lord, have your way in my life. Yeah. Your will, not mine. Yeah. And let that be what it is. I think that's a ridiculous prayer. Like,
it is a ridiculous prayer.
That is a crazy prayer.
It's a real prayer, and it's a true prayer because we see it in the lives of each other. We see it in the lives of believers. We see it in the lives of non-believers too. Like, how often do you meet someone who's just like, and then life took a turn, but it all worked out for the best. And it's like, it did. It's the same God working all of this.
Incredible.
So,
wow.
Emma, you're such a gift.
I love you guys. You guys are a gift.
Seriously. Like, I just feel like we can keep going for a couple more hours.
We could. Like, how much time do you have?
Getting the time watch from Sean. We're like, we got to wrap it up.
But seriously, thank you so much for your time and your heart and your testimony. You've been such a blessing. I know to me today. And, you know, I'm sure to somebody listening for sure. So we love you.
We love you. God bless you guys. I love you guys.
Incredible.